Quite along a while, reaction content has changed over the course of the days of the internet, and as well as the topics surrounding the ethical and unethical reasonings behind it. Most people would say that the reaction content in general is bad due to how it makes that content creators don't do any work out of their own, or say they would be lazy in their own towns, while others may not see it that way and think it's better that for the smaller creators to get a boost in viewership, being found for their work, and just so on and so forth. This is a video topic that I've been wanting to be pushed out for about a while as of now, at least since the whole thing that was happening with like the whole spark of like reactions happening in for like about the fourth time, I believe. And I almost wanted to make a video kind of just going over the most grounded kind of like at least events of just how the whole reaction thing is, since a lot of people seems to get like very confused or just rather like get a lot of things about how reactions kind of at least work in like the grand scheme of things within like YouTube or like the internet as like a whole. So while neither side of like the argument is like a right or wrong side for the most part, the discussion around React content in like the whole big sphere is a lot more broader. And while we're not going to be discussing in the I guess it is technically in also in the broader sense of like the terms, we're only focusing on the aspect of it that a lot of people very much all concurrently agree that is like the big problem with a lot of like reaction content as a whole. Now, this isn't like the whole internet's like first time very much doing this like entire reaction thing, or at least getting into the discussion of it. For the most part, this actually has happened before on many instances on YouTube. The first of these were the Fine Bros, a React channel which their entire premises of children, teens, adults, elders, and YouTubers, which is react to clips of like a meme, a video game, or just like a song in general, and they would kind of just make a whole lot of like money and views off of it, off of the entirety of the premise. This would end up leading them into thinking that the Fine Bros themselves would believe that they are the ones who start off with the reactions and the React content, and would claim the word React so that no other YouTube channel could try and make any any reaction type video without having to be on their thing, and it didn't work out for them too well. But in this instance, for the other one that's almost kind of brought up in the same exact topic with the reaction stuff, whose name always kind of gets bring up, is Jinx Reloaded, a man that made his entire career on doing reaction-based content and offering very little to nothing to transformative to add in the content. But the only thing that makes him very much different was because of his face in the screen and barely expressing anything in general. And many content creators very much would band together to very much drive him off the platform, and many would be under the assumption that reaction content is basic, or at least reaction-based channels are awful, they're lazy, they're talentless, and they just steal a lot of stuff that it's just not fair for them to get a rise when people are putting hard work into much of their videos. Or so most people assume that everybody were in a congruent agreement. On February 7, 2022, a YouTuber named Darkviper AU made a 14-page document titled How the React Grift Works. The document would be posted onto his community YouTube page, his personal Discord, and on Twitter. And in it explains on how in the online content creator economy focuses on the practices of reactors who create content by watching and reacting to others' videos without adding substantial value. He very much argues for that reactors exploit the hard work of the original content creators, taking exposure and the revenue for themselves without putting in the same effort to begin with. Explaining that reactors compete for like a limited viewership and then negatively impact the original content from the creator by siphoning exposure from their work that they have worked so hard on. Essentially, in short, that these React channels only exist to just only take away from like the original media piece, and just only seeing them only react to it. They take away their views, they take away a lot of potential subscribers of like their channel, and just so on and so forth. They just only want to drive traffic just to the reaction channel and nothing more. It goes as far as to criticize reactors for justifying their actions under the guise of fair use and consent. It argues that the reactor model is akin to exploiting unpaid labor and highlights negative consequences on the content creator marketplace. He also questions the ethics of reactors who earn substantial profits while also reposting others' content for minimal effort. They call it a movement, or at least, to address the problem at hand, to, stop this exploitation from happening from all content creators. This is more me explaining the document in the barest form that I can, so I do highly recommend that you do read the 14-page document on your own if you want to, because it goes in a lot more better of a detail than I would ever would, but it's the bare essential that you probably would want to know as to what the argument in question is more or less trying to say. The document itself would be spread a lot more out for the world to see, and while a very similar audience would be interested in reading the document in a whole to fully understand it, much of the larger space neglected the document due to how it was more or less just 14 pages. Essentially, just nobody wanted to read 14 pages because they were just too lazy. Unless you put in like a TikTok or a video that's only about a minute long, it practically almost had no value whatsoever. The document also ended up mentioning other popular creators on there, such as Pokimane, Hassan, XQC, and Critical, with the latter of which will also come back into the whole sphere in general. We're gonna get to the point there. This is the most meatiest video I'm probably making. However, these four would very much be all accused of just doing this terrible practice to begin with, just reacting to content on a live stream, and essentially just not doing anything of any of actual talent, not adding of any value of substance, and they're kind of just reacting their way up to the top. Most people didn't exactly like the document since they called out their favorite creators. A lot of people just didn't want to read the document at all because it was 14 pages and it was apparently just too much for them. So he kind of just got let off as just someone who was thinking that, nobody's reacting to my content, my GTA 5 content. This will end up sparking attention from Critical, the man I also mentioned him beforehand, and he would very much be the one to speak about the document in question in a video titled "Are React Streamers Bad People?" While he does understand that there are a lot of React channels, he wanted to highlight that not all of them are bad, to that he has allowed dead air to kind of just fill the room at times, and very much not add of any substance to the videos. Believes that not all reaction channels are going to go at this for profit gain and are given the exposure to React channels that have done well due to them being reacted onto by on their channels, such as people like Gunner TV and Tub. Those two very much blew up tremendously due to the help of Charlie, and are able to go on their own and are being massively successful. Essentially, the whole thing is that Charlie very much does not think that most of the reaction stuff is more or less bad. He very much does think that it's a lot of big potential for a lot of creators to very much get themselves exposed. And while that may seem good, I'm gonna mention this point very later on, so keep that in mind. Matt would end up responding with the video again, with the video to Charlie after he made his video, very much with a video titled "The True Harm of React Content" featuring Moist Critical. He very much in that video he kind of just expresses that he misrepresented him and the document as a whole on the whole thing of reaction content, and that it's not exactly gonna change his stance with the whole of reaction content, and thinking that that he's just taking the entirety of his document out of context. Essentially, he didn't like that he did not understand the broader argument as a whole, and kind of only went after the bare basics of the reaction stuff entirely, because he was only thinking of this in a very small way when with Darkviper he's thinking of this as a entire internet space, the huge picture that you are very much are going to see. He would end up making a response to Darkviper AU's video titled "Drama Response." The video very much just acknowledges that he very much got a lot of things wrong in it. He's willing to own up to a lot of the mistakes. And essentially what had happened was that it was essentially that Charlie did not like that he was thrown under the guise that all these whole accusations, these whole kind of like things that he was being accused of were like the only thing that he has more or less done. He very much has done a lot of other stuff, such as like, his comic God Slap. He's doing Moist Esports. He's doing his own wrestling league as of right now. He's trying to get that off the ground. He's got his podcast. He has a whole lot of everything to very much do whatever he wants, and that very much being accused of just only being a reaction channel is very much feeling as if it was just very small to him. But yeah, he just wants to say that he's sorry for misrepresenting the entirety of the document, and Ross said that he just didn't like it that he was being called all these things, because while he very much has done his due diligence and very much wanted to not do the practice himself no longer, and not do any YouTube night where it's just like he's just randomly scrolling through like indie videos, the boast that he very much is a little bit more acceptable to the doing the practice of just like not watching a video unless you can't add much to it. And I think that's completely fair. It's not like he's going to lose anything if he can't do it, but he's being a lot more understanding of how this this whole situation is meant to work. But what does reaction content mean for just normies, just to us, the average guys? Well, reaction content kind of goes a lot like this. Reaction for just normie creators can be something as seeing as the newest topic, drama, a meme compilation, or just a new video that they have on that they just want to, they're interested in. Which is fair as to why they think that a lot of things on the platform can just be broken down to that reaction like A wants to see reaction B and that they want B to see A. But for the specific instance when you do reaction video, whether on YouTube or Twitch or just very much anywhere else, you have to make sure that you're giving a transformative value to the media that you're talking about. Like adding a point to the video that they did not talk about, not making a full re-upload of the video in full, because that's just stealing it entirely, like that's just not cool. Well, and very much allowing yourself to credit the work of the creator in question. Those are very much the points that a lot of people make when they do talk about a lot of reaction channels. They very much want you to just be able to transform the piece, add a lot of stuff onto it, not make a whole re-upload of the thing so it doesn't derive from the original, and just give credit where the credit is due. That's very much the only thing you have to do when doing these type of react stuff. I have Legal Eagle, a lawyer who very much just involves himself in the law. He has a YouTube channel, and he has a video very much reacting to The Little Mermaid. The entirety of the video is not just spent on reacting to the entirety of The Little Mermaid. He just focuses on the contract that Ariel signs to Ursula, just selling her voice to her, and just how would that even work. That's the entirety of the premise. He watched some scenes that are related with the contract itself and how it how it all works, but he doesn't watch the entirety of the movie. He just only focuses on those specific things of instance with the contract and the law, and then he very much just combines his expertise to see how would this fictional contract work in the real world. How are there any laws with it for the voices? He's done it before with episodes where he's collabed with Dr. Mike on Grey's Anatomy, where he's very much giving his stuff on on law, and Dr. Mike is giving on the medical experience, and combining those two, and it very much makes up for a good video. You got a lawyer, you got a doctor knowing their stuff. There are many other examples out there that very much also do work. In instances like Moist Critical, again for the example, but in other people like Some Oriented Gamers and Razzle. These three cases, while Charlie was on the wagon of reacting to anything he found interesting during his rise onto Twitch, his video on his main channel would still be under the guise of fair use. He's very much only using the clips that he's only allowing you to show and very much encourage you. One example would be of his video regarding the Oki's Weird Stories channel with the video of the whole space program. It was a very interesting video, and even as before, I actually watched the video before I saw Critical react to it, since in his one he very much does react to the whole thing and very much give his commentary insight on it, but he only very much adds the highlights stuff where he very much is talking or brings up an interesting scene, and that's about it. He very much recommends everybody in the beginning to watch the video first if you want to see the full depth of the video entirely early, and it works. I was actually very intrigued in just how very good Oki's Weird Stories was very good at this entire thing, and I really liked it, and very much give me encouragement to subscribe to his channel to find more stuff from him. He names the titles very differently, he gives credit where the credit is very much due, and like I said, he only uses a handful of clips. He very much doesn't make it a full re-upload. He does not. He just encourages people to watch the original video itself. The Heart, as well, or at least some oriented gamers, also uses this practice as well to when researching topics on the dark web, internet rabbit holes, cybersecurity, technology, and cultural news. To him, it's very much important to get these things at least right, and very much only show enough of the stuff that you're willing to show. At least in the case of with you, if you want to very much research a lot of stuff that you want to find. But in a different instance, for at least the case with Razzle, their channel is much more different than the other two, since it was just watching TV shows and just films, movies of all kind, whether it be cartoon or just real films. You probably have heard Razzle for being known as the "we got drunk and watched insert film here," and it would be the premise as expected. They get drunk and watch the movie, but they don't allow you to see the whole film. In fact, they only cut the film into very spliced ways, where very much their videos can range from about 14 minutes to 32 minutes long. They actually very much only allow you to very much see. They very much allow you to see a movie in some instances, but they only cut back to their faces or make the audio louder than the video, than the movie or the film itself, and very much they would add a lot more commentary onto it, since it's just banter with them. They actually don't show you all of the film. They very much cut a lot of the pieces out there that would be integral to it, but they only leave in their commentary onto it and not their full thing. They very much are able to do this and very much understand that this is the way of doing a lot of fair use in their own way, and it very much allows them to just do a lot of hijinks and make an entertaining video as a result of it. Anybody can very much achieve the exact same effect when very much doing these types of practices, and very much are able to accomplish it in the better way. Or at least in this case with just a regular YouTube video. At least with live streaming, it's much more difficult because you don't know what you're going to be reacting to, and you should be able to make sure that you have enough commentary on your side to at least say something to it, because the worst thing you can do in live streaming is just leave with dead air, and to them that's practically torture. But that's essentially how most of the reactions should just be. You're able to give you a reaction to a video that they are seeing, but add enough points, details, or add transformative value to it where it doesn't take away from the purpose of the original video, and making it that it falls under the guise of fair use. And even though it's just taking the clips from the video are enough for you, and even crediting for the original creator's work is the best way of doing these things, and even allows for other new creators to actually able to grow. They're able to grow. Even a simple shout out even works as well. But then we get to the problem that very much happens a lot with reaction channels. Someone makes their entire online career making reaction videos, but doesn't provide or add value, and would prefer to sit and eat when watching the video. Then it becomes a problem entirely, as you're now just stealing views and money off of the original creators, but are making a full re-upload of it, which in the space of the internet is very illegal, and for most content creators, it's very looked down upon. This is what many people are trying to be against. Creators who only benefit from watching others and adding nothing to it. As very much in the recent case with like people like XQC or Hassan that very much do not exactly add much of value to like a video and would rather more just sit in silence and not exactly say a word. Even when they leave the room, they don't pause the video entirely, or they even have a screen that says, stream taking a break, we'll be right back, because they would rather very much want to sit in the exact stream and just, able to pay attention to the audience. The reason that this type of topic is very confusing as to why many don't understand it is because that, just like I said, for how normie channels view this, they think anything counts as a reaction to anything, like playing a game from like a very AAA studio, or making fun of someone online because they more or less deserve it, because they think it counts as a reaction to them, which is not the case at all. Like, those all fall under the fair use. You can't exactly just say that with the game, or like wanting to criticize somebody. In a game, you can make different choices in movements, endings, character customizations, and how a person plays a game. Whereas in reactions to videos, you are very much seeing a straight line to the start to the end. You cannot alternate the course in any way that you think you could, and the only thing that would be different is just the different response, the opinion, or the discussion around the video, whether they can add something to it or not. It's just essentially up to the creator to either add something to the video that they have knowledge on, was never mentioned in the video, or their own experiences on the subject. Even creators that do benefit from a blow-off from being reacted to, like Tuv and Gunner TV, not many of them are very lucky with that chance. Of a streamer who very much is looking at the channel that they are reacting to, they're not exactly incentivized to go and find that channel, or at least give them a sub, or watch the same video in question. Instead, they would most prefer that the reactor often reacts to their entire channel and all their newest videos whenever they drop, because they react to one of their videos and they like their stuff, so they're going to probably react to again. Not very much showing any kind of growth or any attention to their own videos, and they basically just get to very much steal a lot of views and potential money from them, because their video may perform badly, but the reaction channels like video on that one would do it a lot more better. And to them, it's bad, because that means no channel growth, and that it only means that the reaction Andy just gets they very much get the cake and eat it too, and very much only rise higher and higher. In short, many viewers of reaction channels aren't incentivized to see a smaller channel in the video because they have already seen it from the React channel, so why would they even bother to sub to them? They get exposure, but not for very long. In fact, they would have much more of a better chance of being thrown into the recommendation tab in the YouTube algorithm, rather than having them being reacted to, because essentially what they're doing is not essentially much different from a viewer watching the video itself and then seeing it for themselves. It's very much almost completely different. Now, many creators do very much express that they do want this solution to very much find itself. They want to be able to get these reaction Andes out of the way, just completely kamikaze off the platform. And while there are while they haven't found the solution for it yet, there is a nuclear option. At least that's what I like to prefer to call it, which is that that smaller creators who are mad about the reaction issue can issue a DMC notice on the reaction videos, and in turn they can get paid, and the reaction creator gets punishment. They earn no money on the video, and would force reaction channel to just change their ways and not do the lazy practice again. And this would sound like it's a good thing, but it's not. And there's a reason as to why nobody has taken that current action, because while that technically anybody like most creators can do that, well most because a lot of creators can do that to much smaller channels, they're not so they're not so lucky in that instance. The problem with the solution like that is that not only that creators can't do that, with like the exceptions of like big corporations with like Sony, Nintendo, and Viacom are able to use the system that YouTube has implemented to make sure that that anything that they have can be used fairly under the guise of fair use. The system that they have in place, of least with the DMCA, is very misused. In fact, misused and abused to a greater extent, where some of the things that most channels get taken down for can be completely unreasonable, and would rather feel as if they are just abusing the system and just hoping that the channel would get banned, they would just take away all the revenue, or that a company is doing this to a channel unfairly. And when you put that type of power within within creators, most creators would either abuse that type of position when they very much are filing a DMCA request or doing these type of strikes. Most creators do not do that. It's kind of an unspoken rule that in a lot of instances for a lot of YouTubers, that while many can criticize each other, they can make fun of one another and very much do whatever they want and have their own opinions on certain creators, most of them do not exactly want to do a DMCA. They don't go further than that, because and if they do, it just will make them look completely horrible in the public image, but would just reveal that they only DMCA someone just because they hurt their feelings. Essentially, nobody wants to put a ton of skin into that, because a lot of people can get burned as a result of it. Something like this would be the norm for a lot of creators. Then many of them would be able to do a lot of false DMCAs on channels that would use their likeness, even if it's under the fair use in the correct way. Even channels that would do a DMCA claim would halt a lot of their time to do so, because it's a very long, arduous process to very much get the channel in question to very much get the money, or very much completely do a full report on it, because it takes a lot of time to do it. It's a whole lot of legal work that nobody wants to do. And if you wanted to do it with every channel who's React Andy, there are millions upon millions. There is no way anybody's going to be out there and doing any of that. And as an added bonus, if the reaction channel is far larger than a smaller channel, their viewers, chatters, and fans can very much go to the smaller reaction channel to form a kind of attack on them in the name of their creator, by either bullying them, making fun of them, sending death threats, doxing, doing false reports on their channels to get the banned, which would be completely terrible, because it would make it feel as if the larger creator wanted that small channel to be banned, whether they knowingly or unknowingly did it, and it'd just be a terrible time for the smaller channel in question. So is there a way to very much stop these, or at least put an end to a lot of the reaction Andys? Unfortunately, not yet. This topic has kind of been talked about 4 times, and more it's just like the ending of Deltarune Chapter 1. It doesn't make much of a difference on just how it ends. The topic very much doesn't seem to find any solution or an answer that very much could work for everybody. And unless a nuke option, which is pretty bad, is going to be happening to a lot of people out there that are going to force people to not do this type of stuff, then this topic kind of breezes on by on a wind, or just a one-time year event where it just kind of happens, and people just probably, forget about it the next day. Reacting to videos are not a bad thing. When you very much do it in the right way, in the right practice, you can very much accomplish the exact same way that most creators would be able to do so. And very much not be able to feel as if you're just being a reaction Andy and just only making it off your entire channel. It's important to understand on how you do the proper ways of not making a video that is just not just someone's re-upload. Okay? You just don't want to do that. If you are one of these people, then look into a different career entirely. Like that's the only thing I could say. Look into a different career. This isn't gonna work out for you. I think the basic thing that for a lot of people when they very much think about doing these types of channels or like wanting to make a channel of their own and very much are thinking about doing these styles of like videos or at least reacting to stuff on live, you should be able to ask yourself the kind of important question as to whether or not I have anything important to add onto a video, which I think is an important question for a lot of creators to actually say and go out of your way to more or less ask. Because if you very much understand that you probably won't have much to say on a video regarding a topic, regarding the subject of the video, or just like the entirety of it because you're very interested in it, that you're probably sitting in silence, then you've kind of realized that you can just watch the video on your own and practically make a video of it under the proper ways of wanting to make a video of it. Like many other channels that I've explained, and including mine, where I just only use a short amount of videos and clips and very much encourage people to watch, the original stuff. I do hope that the essay I have cooked up here is a little bit better understood for everyone, as I'm aware that the discussion on reaction is a very murky water, and while I haven't gone to the depths that I have with Darkviper AU, which does actually have a playlist of him very much going over this entire reaction based topic, I do recommend very much watching the playlist if you want. I'll leave a link to it into the description. But I very much recommend watching Jimmy Robbins' video. He's actually one of the other channels that very much is also mentioning about the reaction content, and very much also has the kind of same agreements I have in vein reaction based stuff entirely, and we very much agree on a lot of similar things. So if you want to watch that video as well, then you can. I highly recommend it. It's a very good video. If you want to watch something else that's also easy to digest as well. Anyways, that's about the video. This probably is the largest video that I have made on my channel thus far, and yeah, I want to very much mention it. And even though I'm late to it, I still do think it's an important topic for a lot of people to kind of just very much understand entirely. And I very much do hope that if this video did help you understand as to what it more or less means when you do a lot of reaction stuff and when reactions are bad, just know that sitting there eating it, treating it like a regular YouTube video is a bad way of doing it when you're just doing it live. The proper ways of doing it are far more better and a lot more easier to do, because nobody wants to feel as if their work is being re-uploaded. I wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like it if you were in most of the smaller creators' shoes. And until a solution arrives, it's only think it fair that these types of videos very much get spread around to most encourage people that, hey, you can do a better way of doing reaction-based stuff. A better practice, if you will. And, that's about it. Bye-bye. I'll be trying to upload other videos as well on this channel. I do have several ones I think I can talk about, but most of them either are not exactly as important or not big on the importance. But yeah, no, that's about the video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.